Welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook. I'm joined by Justin Wells for another great edition of Recruiting Intel. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, helps us bring you a ton of great information on a daily basis. We're going over recruiting again. We're going over a new position. We're checking out the linebackers. The Longhorns after a lot of highly rated targets in this class. And new linebackers coach Johnny Nansen is working hard to sign some of those guys. We'll talk a little bit about the linebacker commit in Anthony Deuce Williams out of Shadow Creek. We'll also go over Riley Pettijohn, Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng, Matai Tagoa'i, Elijah Barnes, and Jonathan Cunningham, some of the guys who are either making their way to campus in the coming weeks and or months, or Texas has shown a lot of interest in. So, Justin, let's see. If you look at that 2023 class, I think they signed three who are at least at linebacker right now. Signed one in the 2024 class, brought in a one-year guy in Kendrick Blackshire. So this looks like a class where they need a good amount of numbers and need to bring in some quality and quantity to the linebacker room.
Yeah, this position reminds me of the defensive line. Like, how they've handled the previous two cycles shows you that this might be a numbers grab. And so the number's at least three. That's probably what they're going to have to look for. We know a couple guys that they look really good for, but I think that number three, that third spot's going to be cherry picked. I think that's maybe more of a national guy. I think Nansen kind of wants to make his own way and kind of, get his guys. And so it's going to be interesting, Joe. It really is, because we know that there's a few guys that they consider priorities, but there's also a handful of guys out of state that would be phenomenal in this class, highly rated guys. And I think after they visit, we're going to have a lot better idea of where Texas stands with those guys.
So let's quickly go over the guy we know. We talked about him on New Year's Day when he committed. He committed with knowing Jeff Choate was leaving and not sure of who his position coach was going to be at Texas. As Pearland Shadow Creek 3-star Anthony Williams. A lot of length at this position, someone who kind of has a hybrid skill set, but is going to end up probably patrolling the middle, and is also part of a Shadow Creek team that has a lot of talent on it this cycle.
Yeah, Anthony Williams, he jumped in early. I think he was always kind of a Texas fan to begin with. He loves Sark. He'd been on campus half a dozen times over the last couple of years. A lot of those Shadow Creek guys have. And Williams just decided he wanted to jump in. He didn't want to waste any time. I like this guy because he has some real good length. He has a frame that you can mold. He's a ball of clay. And listen, he's a great basketball player. He's a multi-sport kid. And he's a really good guy. He's a culture guy. He's a strong mental evaluation. The thing about Anthony that I like the most is that how open he is about his love for Texas. I found out the other day that he's going to take a visit to Texas A&M. And he basically told me, he said, look, man, I committed so early. I hadn't really seen any other schools, and I just want to enjoy the process a little bit. He absolutely loves being a Longhorn. He just kind of wants to take a few visits and enjoy the process with some of his teammates. He's got a dozen teammates at Shadow Creek, it feels like, that are D1 recruits. And so he likes to go along with the ride and have fun with those guys. But at the end of the day, he'll be at A&M on March 29th, I believe, or March 30th. He'll be back in Texas in April. He'll have his official in June. Texas looks good here. If this is the floor for your linebacker class in 2025, that's a really good, nice, clean floor.
Yeah, especially as you already saw, a lot of the players we're looking at talking about today, top 200 prospects. And I think we have to go next to the guy who we believe is probably at the top of Johnny Nansen's linebacker board, and with good reason, and that's Riley Pettijohn from McKinney, Texas. You and I bumped the table there. You and I got the chance to see him this past Sunday at the Under Armour Next Camp. I had not seen him in person or in like an athletic situation, I guess to say. But looking at Riley Pettijohn and then looking at a few of the different linebackers that were there, Pettijohn stands out. Like, that is what a almost college-ready linebacker looks like. Of course, he's going to add weight when he gets to his school, but, he was out, I think a couple weeks ago, breaking 11 seconds in the 100-meter, winning his heat, not winning his full the full competition, but winning his heat with a sub-11 100-meter. just broad shoulders and a frame to build on, and a guy that programs from coast to coast are definitely interested in adding to their program.
Yeah, but you nailed it. Pettijohn does a little bit of everything. I've said it before. He kind of reminds me of this class's Ty Anthony Smith. He's rangy. He goes sideline to sideline. He's a little bit longer, a little bit taller, maybe not as athletic as Ty Anthony, but man, just a built high school linebacker that's ready for college. He's got that mindset, that linebacker disposition where you shoot gaps, you don't get caught in the wash, you trail, you do all these wonderful things, and he's good in coverage, which is essential, I think, in this day and age at college and in the NFL. Texas Texas looks fantastic in this recruitment right now, Joe. They look great. They've done an unbelievable job. They're going to have to fight off a few teams, though. I know that Ohio State is creeping. They want to get in the mix. I know LSU's creeping. Michigan's in the mix. Texas A&M and Oklahoma are also trying to get him back on campus. And so Pettijohn and USC, I believe he's going to take a visit to USC in June. And so, Pettijohn's got a lot of suitors. And that's what happens when you're the number 40 overall prospect in the 2025 cycle. Texas identified this guy early. They prioritized him early. Jeff Choate did a really good job with the foundation of this recruitment. Sark and Nansen have picked up the slack since Choate went to Nevada. And like you said, it's more than likely he's number one on the linebacker board. And look, if you can find a quality elite linebacker at 2 hours from the house, that's what you do. You prioritize that guy. He'll be back on campus at least 2 times until June, and I think that's the biggest factor right there. McKinney's at a school. He's at a place too where I think Texas would like to continue to mine that. They've got some really good younger talent, and then of course the class before him, Xavier Filsaime, he came in and they're friends, and so it's more of that DFW connection, I think, with a lot of these guys over the last couple cycles, and Pettijohn might be the next.
Yeah, and one of the other big things I feel like about Pettijohn is a lot of notes we had over on Inside Texas, over in the Inside Scoop we posted on Monday. It's going to be a battle to keep out-of-state programs from getting him, but it seems like there's some factors that have him liking some of the closer to home, maybe not in-state, but some of the closer to home programs. As we look a little bit further away from the Lone Star State when it comes to linebackers, we got to go to Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng, number 59 overall in the On3 industry ranking. Originally from the state of Virginia, Manassas. Not sure if that's a DC suburb or not, but he's currently at IMG Academies, related to the Notre Dame, the former Notre Dame linebacker, and forgetting his name right now. But he's someone who's going to come see Texas. And the Longhorns have a lot more representation from IMG Academy these days than they ever have. And Owusu-Boateng is going to come check that out in the course of a couple weeks.
Yeah, Boateng's one of those national guys that you want to be in the mix for. This kid's got over 40 offers, Joe, from Stanford, Florida, Miami, Georgia. He's going to visit there next month. He's highly coveted for a reason. And he's what I put in the category of get him on campus in Austin and see where that recruitment's going to go, where it's going to lead, if they're going to get him back for an official visit. He's one of those, elite guys. And talk about a frame, talk about, a really easy eval. You turn on his tape for 2 minutes and you realize this guy's a take. And I think Sark has an affinity for those IMG guys, because a lot of times those are self-starters. Those are self-motivated kids, considering what they have to do at that academy to get prepared for college. Jordan Johnson-Rebel and Jarrett Gibson are also big fans of Texas, and they're telling those guys that. And so I think the Horns are going to have their hands in the mix for some IMG guys over the next few years. Sark loves those early enrollee types. Boateng is that type. Anytime you can find a guy that can play at Georgia and can enroll at Stanford, that's a take. Like I don't think too hard on that one. That's a take. But again, we got to wait till he gets on campus in Austin. I believe it's going to be late March, early April before we can tell kind of where this recruitment's going to go. But I guarantee you, Texas would love to take him, and they want to see him up close.
Now we continue on, go to the West Coast with Matai Tagoa'i. I believe he's from San Clemente, California, number 81 overall in the On3 industry ranking. North of 6'3", a little bit south of 200 pounds, but definitely a ball player and someone that Johnny Nansen, I believe, probably from his old West Coast and UCLA, Arizona connections, was familiar with, and is now prioritizing as the Longhorns linebacker coach.
This is a guy that you would think Nansen, okay, he's gonna have a shot here. There's so many factors that lead you to believe that Nansen's gonna have a shot. For one, he's a West Coast kid, and I feel like there is going to be a West Coast linebacker in this cycle. Like that's Nansen's bread and butter. And if there's going to be a take, I think Tagoa is a guy that can fit that mold. He's 6'4", about 185, so he has a lot of growing to do. He has a lot of development to do, but the upside is real. They're going to battle all those West Coast schools. Utah is one that I think teams really got to look out for. He's already got an official visit scheduled to Washington. They're another program you got to watch. The big thing with him is Texas went by to see him, I believe, in January, and then it took him about another month or so before they offered. And so when he does come on campus and he does get to Austin next month, I think that's another one like Boateng, Owusu, where they're going to have to figure out where they stand in this recruitment. They'll do the eye test, they'll meet the family, but at the end of the day, this is a kid that if I feel like Nansen's going to be able to get one guy on the West Coast. I feel like he wants to cherry pick one off that side of the country, and this right now is the kid we think he's identified. Just get him on campus and figure out where they stand. They're going to have their hands full. Utah, USC, Washington all have laid strong foundations and recruitments there, but again, ever since Nansen was hired, I felt like they're going to snag at least one kid from his side of the country.
Johnny Nansen's going to have some tough competition to get Tagoa'i out of the West Coast, but he's got some good inroads already. Before we keep on going, got to talk a little bit about our friend Andre the Lawyer. Andre the Lawyer, let's see. Andre the Lawyer never takes more than their clients. No win, no pay, and no upfront costs. Their principal office is in Dallas, Texas, and Andre the Lawyer has been representing injured Longhorns throughout Texas. Every client gets a personalized text message number so they can contact the team and get direct access to their lawyer all day and all night. Call Andre the Lawyer at 214-444-8808. If you're in a car wreck, an 18-wheeler accident, a slip and fall, any on-the-job injury, or anything else, call Andre the Lawyer at 214-444-8808. Speaking of the state of Texas, we return to the Lone Star State now when we talk about Elijah Barnes. Number 109 overall in the On3 industry ranking. Seems to be an in-state battle for the Dallas Skyline standout. We've got I think we have some On3 recruiting predictions in for Barnes to end up at Texas. And obviously, along with Pettijohn, seems like the top linebacker, 1B to Pettijohn's 1A as far as linebackers in the state go and targets for the position for Texas.
Yeah, Barnes, if Pettijohn is your traditional guy, Barnes is your throwback linebacker. That's a guy he's 225, 230, running the anchor leg on the 4x1, trailing Caden Durham from Duncanville. Like that just impressed me that this big boy wanted to get on the track and compete like that. He even told me, look, I'm not going to run faster than Caden Durham, but I'm going to try to catch him. And you want that mentality at linebacker. I think Texas is lucky that two of the best linebackers in the country are literally 2 hours from campus. And that's why I put Barnes and Pettijohn in the same category. Elijah's the one that, he comes out of Dallas Skyline. He's more of a headhunter. This guy tracks and smacks. He throws his body around. He's got some deceptive speed. He's good laterally. The thing with Barnes is I think Texas leads pretty handedly here. Others are going to be in the mix. Texas A&M really, really likes him. Oklahoma really, really likes him. I know that LSU and Alabama have been kicking the tires on him. USC is another one that really likes him. But I think this is Texas versus the field, in my opinion. And with Barnes, Coach Williams and I got to meet his father a couple weeks ago, and just one of the nicest guys. And you can see why Elijah's such a great kid, such a well-mannered young man. Another guy, he reminds me of Pettijohn in that your locker room needs these kind of kids. This is a strong mental evaluation. This is a culture fit. Not to mention, he's a big old boy that can run. And at the linebacker spot, they're going to have to load up in 2025, similar to D line. And if it starts and if you've got Anthony Williams as your floor, and you can add a Pettijohn and a Barnes, that's a fantastic first class for Johnny Nansen. So they just have to stay the course. Barnes will be on campus multiple times again. He'll probably take that official visit in June. I can see him making a decision like Pettijohn in July and August. I don't think either one of those guys are going to stretch it out. And I use those guys a lot in comparison because they talk to each other about playing together. They talk to each other about being at the same school. And even though they're not a package deal, I think Texas has done a tremendous job at selling both of those guys on the 40 acres.
Got one more to talk about, one more Texas offer to talk about, and that's Jonathan Cunningham from a very talented Fort Worth North Crowley program, where one other Texas linebacker, Samaje Burrell, currently a redshirt freshman, is on the Longhorn roster. Cunningham, I believe, was offered in January, maybe February, has seen Texas a couple times. Think he has plans to return, but where does he fit into the linebacker recruiting picture for the Longhorns?
Cunningham's one that's got a lot of upside. I got to meet him on Sunday at Under Armour, and just a really good kid, had a really good smile, good attitude. Cunningham's a guy that, I think he's a take in his own right, but I also know that numbers are going to be critical at the spot. And I don't know necessarily if he's a contingency, but I know that, Pettijohn and Barnes are 1A and 1B on the priority list. Cunningham's a guy that's going to need some development. He's a guy that's going to need to be brought along maybe a little bit longer, maybe not as college ready, but it doesn't take away from his upside. Texas likes him a lot. Our Charlie Williams went out to go see him a couple weeks ago, and he absolutely loves him. Like you said, North Crowley's got some good talent on the way up. But Cunningham's a kid that I think you can wait a little while, keep him warm and wait, because Texas wants to see how these other guys are going to straighten out, and they also want to know if they're going to take a guy out of state. Because if they do, I think that's going to cost Cunningham a spot. If they keep everybody in state, I think that keeps them in the mix for Cunningham. But right now, I'm looking at SMU, TCU, Baylor. Those are kind of the schools that are pushing Cunningham the hardest.
Sounds like it's a pretty good crop for linebacker, a position that seemingly was lost to edge, I guess, as far as emphasis goes. But maybe some guys like Anthony Hill and obviously like Riley Pettijohn can turn things around for the position in state and make linebacker a pretty talented, make Texas a state that produces talented linebackers. Once again, thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, head to InsideTexas.com. You can get 1 month of access for just $1. Perfect time for it. We've been hitting recruiting hard, but it's about time to hit both recruiting and team intel hard as Texas returns to the spring practice field. Justin, thank you so much. Thank you to our sponsor, Andre the Lawyer. I'm Joe Cook. We'll see you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.